This video is mainly for those that are currently veterans or those that are interested in hiring veterans. In this video, I'll discuss why someone that has a technical background that might have just recently got out of the military is going to be a great fit, if not one of the best fits, for being a field service engineer. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be based off of my experience coming out of the Navy after doing about 6.5 years working as a fire controlman. That's going to be primarily focused on working on ship self-defense system as well as a different type of radar. So with that said, let's get into today's video. Welcome back to Untitled Label, where we strive for greatness through optimization. I'm John, I'm a field service engineer as well as an entrepreneur, and this channel is all about being a field service engineer. First off, if you're a veteran, thank you for what you've done for your service. As a veteran myself, I know this can be a big sacrifice for some people. So I just want to take a second and say thank you. Now, I don't want to come off as someone that's only here to support veterans. So if you didn't serve in the military, that's all right. Welcome to the channel, and I hope you find this information useful. Some of these skill sets you might have even if you didn't serve in the military. But the main thing is, coming from someone that served for 6.5 years, it made this job and the transition to doing this job on the daily a lot easier. So I think other people, other veterans that are getting out of the service are going to be able to do the same thing and just hopefully replicate what I've done and maybe even do better. First and foremost, something that maybe we don't always like is the travel aspect of the job. So now, I know not every field service engineer job is going to be traveling a lot. It might just be more local travel, but travel is something that, especially coming out of the Navy where we went on underways, deployments, being out to sea for months at a time, this is something that made this job and traveling a little bit easier. Now, if you do have a family and you're trying to settle down and just be there more so at home, this is a little bit different. But say you're someone that's single, you don't really have anyone tying you down, this job is going to be a great opportunity for you to travel within the US, maybe even internationally, and see a lot of great places. I know I can attest to this, as through being a field service engineer in the biotech industry, I've literally been to more cities within the last 3 years than I've been to in my whole life. Now, this is including deployments that I've been to other countries and such. Of course, my travels have mainly been within the US. However, I think this has been a great opportunity to see some awesome cities within the United States. The next point I'm going to make is discipline. Now, not everyone's going to have discipline, even veterans. However, if you find the right ones, if you are someone that's like me, you're going to have an amazing amount of discipline. Discipline is what literally gets you up in the morning and helps you complete what you need to. Being in the service, this is a daily thing. You have to have discipline in order to maintain your equipment, maintain the ship, fight the fires, fight the casualty. One thing that I guess the higher ups in the Navy say, you have to train to fight the ship. So this is something that I take into account just more so on a daily basis. This is especially true when it comes to accomplishing my goals and stuff that I've set for myself. Having discipline is something a lot of veterans are probably most likely going to have, as they've been through the test of time. They've been through a lot of not so great situations and they've managed to overcome those things. So as someone that's a veteran, this is why I have so much drive. I've mentioned drive a lot, but my low points and the things that I've personally experienced in life, coming from those experiences to now being a field service engineer, I think about those things and what I've already accomplished. And to be honest, on a daily, being a field service engineer is honestly easy. So there are challenging aspects of the job, but it's going to be nothing like being in the military. Don't get me wrong, you still do need to have tough skin. You're still going to have problems of their own, but discipline, at the end of the day, it's going to help you get through lot of challenges, and veterans, for the most part, have discipline. I previously mentioned what I worked on in the Navy, which was ship self-defense system, battle force tactical trainer, and cooperative engagement capabilities for those that may be interested or maybe veterans as well, especially in the Navy. These systems have a lot of different electronic components. In order to keep these systems running and operating as they should be, especially being on an aircraft carrier, you're going to have to know how to troubleshoot and troubleshoot well. This is something that a lot of veterans with electrical or technical backgrounds are going to have and be able to translate or bring with them when it comes to being a field service engineer. Usually a lot of times the equipment is different, however, the methods and how you go about troubleshooting is still the same. This is something that I stress to a lot of people that I talk to on the daily that are interested in becoming field service engineers, especially with the same technical background as I do, but they're just not sure if they're going to be able to pick up the material. Yes, you are going to have to put in some effort as far as learning the new equipment, but I promise you, being able to go through A school or C school and learning equipment that's somewhat archaic. Not everything is archaic nowadays, but systems that are pretty old and being able to maintain and keep those things running on the daily, that takes a skill. So give yourself more credit if you're someone that's a veteran and you're interested in becoming a field service engineer, but you're a little hesitant as to not having or being able to work on a certain industry's piece of equipment. Being able to troubleshoot, being able to navigate through technical documentation, follow simple maintenance instructions, which, by the way, if you're someone that's interested in creating video content, a video library for your field service engineers, make sure to reach out to me. But being able to follow these simple instructions is going to help you have the upper hand as far as being a field service engineer. I can definitely speak for those that were in the Navy, especially any combat systems related jobs. Those guys and those girls have done a lot of maintenance. So much so that it's insane how much maintenance we do or have to do on the regular. So maintenance is nothing new for those that are probably coming from the Navy. At least I can attest to that. You have repairs as well, and that's the part where troubleshooting really comes into play. Being able to work on equipment, going deep diving inside of equipment, finding circuit cards that are bad. This is something that I have to do regularly or I'm working on, for example, ship self-defense consoles. Those things would have so many different components. You have monitors, you have computers, you have circuit cards, you have fiber, you have all sorts of different components that make up this thing. And it's not just one location, it's located in several places. So being able to work on a system that is literally spread out throughout the ship and narrowing down one little issue, if you can do that, trust me, you're going to be able to work on one little piece of equipment that's just in one location. Now, I want to emphasize this because a lot of recruiters or a lot of people that weren't necessarily in the military might not know what kind of work we do on the ship, or troubleshooting or maintenance or whatever. The thing is, those systems are throughout you. For example, I was an aircraft carrier. You take that big aircraft carrier and you have redundancy. So there's two of each parts of the system that I work on, and it's spread out throughout the ship. So you have one thing that can be broken in one location, and you have to figure out exactly where throughout that whole ship it's broken. So think about that and then compare that to just troubleshooting on, let's say, one single piece of instrument. Yes, the components are much smaller, but in my opinion, that makes things a lot easier. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of tie in maybe communication as well as teamwork. I'll bring those two together. This is something that, being in the military, you have to be able to figure out or at least work on and improve for yourself. We work as a team because it's one team, one fight. That's the big motto for the Navy. I personally don't really believe in that anymore because people will kind of slack off and let one person do most of the work. That tends to be the tendency for not only in the military, just in life in general. But that's how we try to push cohesion in the military. One team, one fight. Everyone does their part, so the overall big picture is being met and realized. Veterans tend to be pretty good team players. As field service engineers, yes, you are by yourself for the most part out in the field doing whatever you need to, handling whatever situation you have or whatever equipment you have. But the overall big picture and being able to uphold what you're assigned is what's going to help the whole team. This ties in with communication. You're going to have to be able to communicate effectively, at least while you're in the service. Now, this skill might not be translated over for everybody, as I feel like I'm a pretty good communicator, but not everyone is. Some people are a little bit more reserved, more to themselves. I don't necessarily have an issue with being a little bit more outgoing and being able to hold a conversation. When it comes to this job, communication is important, as you are going to be communicating with your teammates as well as your customers. Good communication is only going to help the whole team function overall. If you're not talking to your team, you're not telling them what's going on, or you're just MIA, you're not helping anybody. You're kind of shooting yourself in the foot and you're doing a detriment to the team. So at that point, you're not really a team player per se. But I don't think with veterans, for the most part, unless they kind of get lazy, we don't usually tend to have that issue. This ties back into discipline. So a lot of these factors that veterans have, if they're able to uphold those things that they left the military with, they're going to be great people for being field service engineers. That's just a fact. So those are just a few things that I thought about coming from the military, being a veteran myself, that I thought would make great field service engineers. Again, I try to live by example, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job as far as being a field service engineer. But in case I might have missed something, you're a veteran yourself, or you know someone that's a veteran and they have a skill set that maybe not everyone has. They might have gotten that from the military. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm genuinely interested to know more about what other veterans think about being field service engineers. If you found this video helpful, informational, got some kind of value out of it, make sure to smash that thumbs up button and subscribe if you haven't yet. Sharing also is a great way to help the channel grow, and it doesn't even cost you a single thing. With that said, I'll catch you on the next one.